Hello, welcome to Life Lived Out of Order. I am nobody special. I'm just talking about the world as I see it, based on experiences I have had. Today I want to talk about, law of nature, retirement, ancient principles. And the most basic law of nature, the most basic innate law of nature, is that every day you exist is another day that you must justify your existence. Okay, now think of your favorite animal. Could be a horse, could be a lion. They do it differently, but they're both justifying their existence every day. The horses, they graze, they're always looking for more grass to eat, and they must protect themselves. The lion, they prey. They have to go find other animals to eat. Every day they're working to do that, or they're sleeping. But when they're not sleeping, they're hunting. And it's just their most basic law of nature. They are justifying their existence. Now, think about ducks at the local duck pond. We have ducks here at our local duck pond. They exist kind of outside this natural order, and it's been imposed upon them, and it's not good. During spring and summer, ducks are supposed to be on the 100% duck diet, and during fall, food starts going away, and they're like, wow, there's no food here. We need to fly south. We need to go find more food, and that's what they do. Now, humans, on the other hand, we come out there, I don't, but lots of people come out there during spring and summer and fall, and they feed these ducks. They feed these ducks bread. Ducks are not meant to eat bread. They're being fed the wrong diet, especially Wonder Bread. Absolutely horrible for ducks. So they're getting fed off this human food, and in fall, when they're supposed to be flying south, they're like, well, food is plentiful because I keep getting fed. They stay, and then what happens in winter is humans are like, wow, we don't like the snows, and we don't like the ice, so we're going to stay in the house, and we don't care about the ducks. And the ducks are out there freezing. They're freezing and starving. This is not good, because then they start to die. They're existing outside the natural order. So during the winter, myself and my children, we're the only ones that go out and feed the ducks, and that's because, well, they shouldn't be there, and they're not sentient enough to understand that they made a bad decision, but they were being fed every day. The humans are the ones that pushed them outside of their natural order. Now, how this natural law applies to humans. Now, for ancient man, that was hunting and farming, securing shelter, and self-defense. Basically the same thing as every other living creature that survives, that lives. Now, the higher stages of justifying your existence has been retirement. It has always been some form of retirement since the dawn of man, and up until recently we've kind of redefined how it works, but retirement has always meant having children. Children were an investment. In the early years, you would dedicate time and resources to help them grow and develop, and then as they became more autonomous, you would invest a lot of time and attention into training the child in all the necessary skills they need in order to survive. Hunting, farming, just basically taking care of themselves, providing shelter, and eventually the parent would become too old to produce anymore. So they would retire. The children would take care of the parents. It's been the natural order of things for thousands of years. It still operates the same way in many parts of the world. Even in the Western world, it still operates to some degree. But at a certain point, we started getting away from this. We started creating pensions and Social Security. All right. Now, pensions and Social Security always depend on the expansion of the economy. All right, and the expansion of the economy has always ultimately been the expansion of the population. So, in the original version of retirement, economic retirement meant you had to have children, not one child, but multiple children, in order to run the farm and produce, and then, provided you have at least one child that survives to adulthood, that child would then take care of you. Now, in the modern times with Social Security and pensions, we still depend upon the expansion of the population. And even in the Bible, it talks about this. Now, I am personally happily agnostic, but I do recognize that there are some good wisdom and insights in the Bible. So I'm going to read you a passage there. It's Psalm 127, verses 3 through 5. Lo, Children are a heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. As arrows are in the hand of the mighty man, so are children of the youth. Happy is the man that hath a quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but shall speak with the enemies in the gate. Now, let's take that first passage. Children are a heritage of the Lord. Now, it is arguable because this is the King James Version. Many people do state that, it was written specifically to make people happy with servitude. Because in that era, we had lords, we had dukes, and we had kings. And this royalty were the only people that actually owned anything. Everything belonged to them, and then all the peasants were just tenants, and they were just lucky to be there. Now, in a lot of situations, when a peasant would want to live on a lord's land, the lord say, okay, well, you can stay here and I'll protect you, I'll grant you this, but you have to give me one of your children to be a knight, to be in service to myself. That's what would happen. And even though the other children would not go to be knights, they would still farm on the Lord's land. They would still produce food for the Lord, for whoever ran the local government. Alright, so still it's depending upon, and you can replace that with heritage of the community. Because even in tribes, even in ancient tribes, children were part of the community. They would be taking over the community. They were in part responsible for the rest of the community at a certain point. Now, it gets more intriguing here. As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are the children of the youth. Now, this is very interesting. Why are children being compared to arrows? Arrows are weapons. Well, who goes to fight in war? It's always the young men. It's mostly the young men. So it's putting a lot of pressure on youth there. It's this young that goes to fight. Happy is the man that hath a quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but shall speak with the enemies in the gate. So the best deterrent for any war or any fight is to have more than the other guy. Because 2 people are not going to want to fight 10 people. So if you have a larger population, you have safety in numbers. People don't want to mess with you, so you have more physical prowess, but you also have more economic strength because you have more people buying and selling. So even in the Bible, it's acknowledging that the youth is the retirement. The youth is what actually protects the community. Now, moving on, in manipulating the economics of retirement by having retirement funds, it depended more on more people paying into it than how many people were taking out of it. Meaning, they still needed to have kids, but it caused some problem. People no longer had an incentive for having children because they believed that they could just depend on the government for their retirement. This goes against the basic law of nature, of justifying your existence by passing off this justification to the government, and the government is in turn depending upon the children. So it's passing the buck, and it's not working because people are like, oh well, I have retirement, I can survive, I have a pension, I don't really need to produce, or I don't need to have multiple children, I'm fine. Well, the government was still operating off of the innate natural understanding there, where, hey, population is constantly expanding, let's find a way to make money off of that. It didn't work, and it does not work. So even here in the Western world, if you have a retirement, it is natural to have a family and to have children, because at a certain point you can't trust on the government for everything. And I know people that haven't had children, but they are retired adults, and they don't have a lot to look forward to. They're missing out on a lot, and eventually one day they're not going to go live with a younger relative. My grandfather on my father's side spent the last 10 years of his life living in my family's home, and he had a very happy last 10 years of his life, even though his mind was failing him. you know, he was surrounded by his loved ones. He was surrounded by his grandchildren, and one day his mind got so far away from him that, you know, he didn't know who was his family and who wasn't. So he just assumed everyone was family. So occasionally we'd have, you know, other people would come over, friends of the family would come over, and if they had a child, you know, children love sitting with, you know, 3-year-old children love sitting with the elderly, and the elderly loved these children. So every time some friends come over and they had children, he'd be like, "Oh, is he a Jambra?" We just said, yeah, he's family. He's like, "Oh, wow, I have more grandkids." So he had a very happy last 10 years of his life, and that was the natural order of things. But now, people that are not having children, they're going to be stuck in, you know, nursing homes. They're not going to have anyone to visit them. They have nothing left to live for. They don't have anyone to pass on their knowledge to. And passing on the knowledge it's been a natural part of human existence for thousands of years. You know, little knowledge, big knowledge, all knowledge is meant to be passed on. And that's being cut off. So it's all, even in the crazy times, it's good to have a family. Your family is who you depend upon. They're going to be with you no matter what. And even though we have a lot of messed up families these days, it's because we forgot how important family is. It requires cultivation, like any work of love. It requires cultivation. So that is my basic thoughts for today. Like the basic law of nature, the innate basic law of nature and existence, how it applies to us, how it's important, how it applies to retirement, and more about the ancient principles of what founded society that we're getting away from. So hopefully those ramblings has helped sort something out for somebody. Have a good one.